Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to hear instructions for Blue Sky Memo number 3. That's right. In the first one, you just wanted to see how profitable the current situation was. In the second memo, you found a way to be more profitable by changing the price. In this third memo, we're going to be looking at 2 other airplanes that you might use instead of the B-100. If they're not more profitable, then just continue using the B-100 and write that you have analyzed it and that you've come to that conclusion. On the other hand, after you watch this training video and the training video that I sent with you, you will have found a way to analyze the information that I gave you and submit a memo that perhaps shows something else. Just like before, we're using the Blue Sky letterhead. Just make sure that the topic of this is different than the other 2 topics. And you are going to analyze using the Excel spreadsheet. So and we're going to be using that in this video as well. The information that you find in the letter from Sam is very important, so read those carefully and have them on hand so we can refer to that. And the assignment itself is Memo 3. Let's take a look at it. Consider using the B-68 Bizjet or the B-200 Airbus instead. Recommend in your memo what the airline should do and why. So if we break that down, we're going to see that we want to have an analysis of all 3 aircraft, the B-68, the B-100, which you've already done, and the B-200 at every price. You also want to write a memo in the correct format and recommend in that memo which plane they should be using, which price they should be charging, and predict what they're going to get, tell them what to do and what they'll get if they do it. What will their revenue, expenses, and profit be? Now in this generic example, it's similar but different from what you have to have in an assignment. So here I'm using the demand data for coach, business, and first class as listed over here at 1200 minus 6Q, 1658 minus 8Q, and 2060 minus 10Q. You're going to come up with different information, different prices to charge because you have a different market to analyze. This demand data is key, and that's how we describe the demand for, in this case, direct flights in our market. So we get right back to it. You're trying to figure out which airplane to use, and the only way you can figure that out is to analyze all 3 airplanes and figure out which one is going to give you the maximum profit possible in this market, and therefore what price to charge and how many people you're going to get to fly. Okay, that's what's different in this example. This is the same though. The B-100, the B-200, and the B-68 aircraft specifications are listed here and in the memo from Sam. I just listed up here so you can see this is where I'm getting that information from. What the procedure, which is also in that piece, tells you to do is to use those demand curve formulas to generate 3 different demand schedules. We've done 1 schedule for the B-100 already. We're going to finish those other 2. Then we're going to just make sure that our B-100 aircraft information is correct. Make note of that profit maximizing price and quantity for that, which you have done already, and then repeat that process for the B-68 Bizjet and for the B-200 Airbus. But when we do it for the B-200 Airbus, since they have a first class section of 20 seats and a business class section of 50 seats, as well as a coach section of 130 seats, it's a little bit more intricate, a bit more complicated. Let's see how that's done. So we're going to solve by using Excel and trying to figure out the maximum profitability for this flight. If we use the B-100, we already know our maximum profit is $24,150, but we have to find out the maximum profit for the other 2 airplanes. I'm going to now switch to those aircraft now. So the way that's done, here we can get in there. All right, so I copied some of that information in here, and up in the top of the customer demand data, I've listed the I've listed the information by typing it out here, and then here I'll make it even more extreme, so you can see it more precisely. That if you take a look at each of these demand formulas, we're subtracting $6 from 1200 to get the top price for coach, $16.58 minus $8 to get the top top price for business, and $20.60 minus $10 to get the top price for first class. But then what we're going to have to do is subtract $6, $8, and $10 in each case. The way that we do that is by typing in the formula. We say we want to, just as we did before, by saying whatever is above this minus 6 in this case, or whatever number is above this minus 8, whatever number is above this minus 10. Since I've put in those formulas already, I can populate this. You can see that we generate that the variable cost on the B-100 and so forth has already been done, and the area for the maximum profit on the B-200 is highlighted here, as well as we can highlight there to show 95, customer 63. Now if we come on over here to the B-68, we're going to have to put in some information. We're going to have to put in, for instance, that the B-68 actually has 68 seats, and it has a fixed cost of $5,000 and a variable cost of $500. So in order to figure that out, we're going to do each one of these things in turn. For one, we're going to drop this down so that it gets all the way down to a 68. Nice. Then we're going to put in that the fixed cost is $5,000, and we're going to drag that down. Also, 5,000 all the way down to 68. We're going to show that the variable cost is equal to $500 times however many passengers we have. $500 if there's one passenger, $5,000 if there's 10 passengers, and if there's 68 passengers, well, 68 times 500 is $34,000. That would be the variable cost. So the B-68 is low fixed cost, high variable cost. B-100 is the other way around. Total revenue from this is going to be generated by calculating, by hitting equal sign, one customer times, and then whatever the business price we charge. But if we want 2 passengers to fly, we got to charge a lower price. So that means putting in the same idea, but I like to striate these things. That's just me. And so we can now double click and it fills it in. We can see, for instance, that if we charged $1,578, we would get 10 people to fly, and the revenue we would generate would be $15,000. Now the cost at that point would be $10,000, so we can calculate that what it is, but we'll let Excel do it for us. We'll put in the profit by saying, for instance, that this is going to equal the 3284 minus the 5,000 minus the 1,000. And by doing that, we can fill that in, and we can then see what the best profit is on the B-68. And it looks like the highest profit we can make on the B-68 is $36,782, which means we have a new winner, right? If it was a comparison between these two, the B-68 makes $36,000 in profit, whereas the B-100 only makes $24,000 in profit. So what we should do is fly the B-68 and charge $1,114, unless the B-200 makes even more than $36,000. Let's see how that goes. So now we get into a similar situation, right? There's 200 passengers, or 200 seats on the 200. It has a fixed cost of $60,000. It has variable cost of $200 for first class, $100 for business class, and $68 for passenger class. This is the main reason I made this video. So you can see the first 20 passengers are first class, the next 50 passengers are business class, and the next 130 seats are in the coach class section. But fixed costs are going to stay $60,000 all the way down. So we can simply take that and double click on it, and it fills it in all the way down. Variable costs are going to equal $200 times the number of passengers. But we're not going to click it all the way down. We're just going to take it, because this only applies to the first 20 passengers that we have to pay $200 to give them first class service. at that point, and this is important, make sure that you're staying alert on this particular one. We're going to say that this customer, the first customer in business class, only costs us $100 to give them business class service. So, but the total cost, total variable cost is going to be $4,000 plus another $100. So the way we do that is we say it's equal to $4,000 plus however many passengers we got times $100. And if we take this down to the next 50 customers who are all sitting in business class, hypothetically, we can see that certainly we'd spend $100 times 50, which is $5,000, plus the $4,000 we spent on the first class customers, it's going to be $9,000. Similarly, we're going to do this for the coach class. We're going to say it's equal to 9,000, and then plus however many coach class passengers we have times, and then we're going to multiply it times the $68 per passenger that we see over here. So we can do that. We don't actually have to be looking at it when we do that, but I bring it back down so you can see. So you think, oh yeah, if we flew 71 passengers, it would cost us $60,000 in fixed costs and $9,068 in variable costs. $4,000 for the first class passengers, $5,000 for the business class passengers, and $68 for that one person in coach class. If we fill that in, then we can bring it on down and we see what our values are. And now all we have to do is calculate revenue. Revenue is also going to be done in a kind of a tricky way. The revenue is going to equal the number of people flying in first class times the number of the price that we're charging, which is over there in my example. And then because I like to keep it going between blue and white, I'm going to do that just for the first 20 customers. What we can see is that we can make $37,000 by charging the first class price of $1,860 to the first 20 people who are, who are eager, really have a high maximum willingness to pay. But then we're going to have to multiply this is the number of business class passengers times the business class price, which is $1,490 plus $37,200. Say how much? Well, in this case, it's $37,200 because in my example, that's how much revenue you're generating from first class. So you're generating now various prices for the for business class, and we're going to, for instance, if we had 2 business class passengers, we'd be getting 2 business tickets sold plus all of the first class tickets sold. We fill that in now, not totally, but just down to the 70th customer. I think I may have overshot it here. Let's see. Is this business class? Nope, keep going. So the 70th customer is also the 50th customer in business class. Why is that? It's because there's, out of the 70 people, 20 of them are flying first class. That's why when we charge for 50 people, we have to charge the price that, in order to sell that 50th business class seat, we have to charge a price that that 1,098 of them would, that is, that 70 people would pay, the 70th customer. Because if you think about it, we take the 200 customers that we're thinking about selling to, we line them up from the one who's willing to pay the most down to the one who's willing to pay the least. Well, the 20 that are willing to pay the most, we sold first class seats to. and the ones that we are selling the coach class seats to are the ones who are not willing to pay that much. They're not ones that are willing to pay the high price. So now we do this again. We say it's equal to 90 to 100 plus the number of passengers times, and then we'll go over here to whatever customer 71 is willing to pay for coach. And we fill that in. Okay. Now we're going to see profitability. Remember, we're trying to beat 36,752. Oh, we have to calculate profitability. So in this case, the profitability is going to equal whatever our revenue is minus whatever our fixed costs are minus whatever our variable costs are. Because the order of operations, it'll subtract them in the right order. And then we just double click on that all the way down, and we see that the first class, even though we generate a lot of money, it's not enough to cover our costs. We have to sell more tickets. The business barely breaks even after we sell half of the business class seats. We're not really making much money until we cross over into the coach. So the revenue generated by both the business class and first class are enough to cover our fixed costs and variable costs. At that point, it's only costing us $68 to add another passenger, and the passengers are paying somewhere in the order of $700 or $600. So obviously, if we say we'll sell you a ticket for $700 and we'll spend $68 extra to get you to where you're going, it's going to be a good money maker, and that's where we see the profits really climbing by $600-700 at a shot. We keep going down here. We see that we get into the 40,000s of profit. We were trying to beat 36,000. We did 40,000, 41. Keep on looking. 42,000, 43,000, 44,000. Does it go all the way to the bottom? Nope. See, if you go all the way to the bottom, it starts getting into losing territory again. Only 14,000 or something. So we don't want to sell all the tickets, but we can see that we can make 44,000. And the highest 44,000 listed here appears to be that one, selling 59 coach class tickets. So I'm going to highlight this to help me find what it is that I'm looking for. When I go back to looking at the data, I'm also going to signal what price I'm going to charge for coach. And up here, I'm going to highlight the price I'm going to charge for the business class, and it might be confusing to me if I do it in the same color, so I'm gonna do it in green maybe, and that one I'll do in green as well, and this one I'll do in green, and we have to figure out what price to charge for first class. And that was selling all 20 tickets, so that's easy enough. That's right there. So the recommendation should be that we switch over to the B-200, that we sell 20 first class tickets at that price, 50 business class tickets at another price, and 59 coach class tickets at the price that we designated over here, $426. If we go back to our memo, we can see that we'd make 36,000 in this one way, but we'd make even more with the B-200. So when we submit the memo, we want to make sure it's on company letterhead with the memo format. Don't make mistakes, spelling, or grammar errors. Be directive, predictive, clear, and concise. Here is an example. So to Sam Dranitz on company letterhead, VP Special Projects, from you yourself, the corporate pricing specialist. You, of course, will put your actual name in this, and you'll put maybe a different date on it to keep it straight from chronological that you were working on this. You'll put in perhaps that it's the aircraft and pricing recommendation for the flight that you're analyzing, and here is the body of the letter, the memo. We should immediately switch aircraft from the B-100 to the B-200 Airbus and begin a three-tier pricing structure to make use of the first class, business class, coach class seating of this larger aircraft. I recommend pricing tickets at $1,860 for each first class ticket, $1,098 for each business class ticket, and $426 for each coach class ticket. We will sell all 20 first class seats, all 50 business class seats, and 59 coach class seats on each flight. This market will generate revenue of $117,234 with total expenses of $73,012. These expenses include $60,000 in fixed costs and $13,012 in variable costs. These recommendations for this flight will increase profitability to $44,222 per flight. We will also increase our ridership on this route to 129 passengers daily. No other pricing scheme can generate higher profits in this market at this time. Good luck, folks. I hope you enjoy working on Blue Sky Airlines.